And good morning. It is 28 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we're going to say it. Undersheriff's bailing out the sheriff right now. Sheriff's running. I think he's having breakfast. I think he's sitting around listening. He's like, I'm going to let Charles do it. I'm going to sit and see if he does a good job. No, I was kidding. Undersheriff Charles Yslas joined us. Sheriff's on his way. He'll be here in a bit. He's running late. Morning, morning, Charles. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. I know you guys have been busy. A lot going on. I do want to get an update. I know the sheriff's office was out of that fire up at Midway.
Right.
Were you personally there at all? I know you and the sheriff were like everywhere.
I was.
Yeah.
And this morning at about 4:45, it looked like they started to get it contained.
Okay.
Or a containment on it. It was a heck of a glow.
And that was
throughout the evening.
And if I remember right, that was a prescribed burn, and then it just got out of hand, is what happened, right?
It was. I think it wasn't
nothing
the combination
nefarious.
of a little
it was just a prescribed burn, and that's they do these to prevent this from happening.
That's exactly right.
But if the conditions aren't perfect, sometimes this happens, and I'm guessing there was probably a little wind or something, and they were maybe on the bubble, and they decided to went with it, and it didn't go as well as they'd hoped.
I think the wind kicked up. I think there was a lot of fuel being undergrowth, and a lot of dry brush. You know, we haven't had a lot of moisture this year, and so they do the prescribed burns exactly like you said to keep these things from happening.
Yeah.
However, the prescribed burns themselves are sometimes
well, it's fire. And fire does what it wants sometimes, and we as man try to control it.
All it needs is oxygen and fuel.
But has anybody ever tried to combat Mother Nature? You're
I don't
probably
know
going to lose.
That's ever won.
Yeah, you're not going to win sometimes.
Exactly.
We're going to keep trying because we're dummies, but
it's our human nature.
We're going to keep running into that wall.
That's right.
But this happens.
That's our human nature.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But and all jokes aside, even though this was a prescribed burn that got out of hand, this is still a better scenario than this happening naturally on its own.
Absolutely.
Because it's still easier to contain a fire that got out of control versus a fire that just started lightning or whatever happened.
Right. Well, you have the individuals that are doing the prescribed burn. You have fire already on scene, usually during a prescribed burn.
Sure, they can combat it,
Exactly. So the minute they see it getting out of hand, the resources are already available, and they've already been, they kind of have a heads up, so to speak. They're ahead of the game. So they can start bringing in additional resources versus Mother Nature, lightning strike, or an individual leaving a fire going or just throwing something out and creating a fire. Whereas somebody calls and turns that in, that has already started. It has already gotten out of hand, and it's harder to contain from that point versus whenever they have a prescribed burn and they can already start to dig a fire line. Sure. They can kind of strategize and kind of formulate where they want the fire to go. You can dig a fire line, and those guys are professionals at that. I'm a cop. I'm not a fireman, but I've seen them do it.
I think you could almost compare what they do to like generals doing battlefield strategy, because it's in essence the same.
They flank it.
Yeah, exactly. They're using similar tactics, but instead of guns and stuff, they're carrying fire hoses and pickaxes and whatnot. So hey, Sheriff. Sheriff is coming in.
Good. So
looked like he just had breakfast. He took his time. I saw it.
You hear my stomach growling.
Yeah. Sheriff's like licking his chops. He's sitting over Cowboy Cafe eating. I know it.
I got to make sure the boss is taken care of.
We're going to test him out. We'll see how he does.
Did you hear that? I think he's putting his test on.
That was good.
Let's obviously a big thank you to all the volunteer fire departments. How many? Do you guys off the top of your head? Was it pretty much every volunteer fire department in the county up there?
It was all hands on
everything.
Yeah, it was because all hands on deck. Obviously, when a moment like that is, and obviously you guys are there more in case people had to be evacuated. Did they? No structures were burned. Last I heard, is that still?
What I heard.
No.
Yeah.
So,
last I heard, not one structure was burned. Not
any
of that stuff.
And yesterday when everything was kicked off, it was a good day to do a control burn.
Sure.
And then Chaves County, the wind comes. So.
That's what Charles and I were.
So
anytime humans, we keep trying to battle Mother Nature, and we know we're going to lose every time, but we got to keep trying.
Especially here with the wind, you just don't ever know when it's going to happen.
So good news is it sounded like Charles was mentioned right before he came on. It looks like they got it kind of at least under control, manageable, contained. That's the word I was looking for this morning here. So those guys were battling all night to that stuff, and I saw some pictures on Facebook.
Yeah,
and that's the part is, I mean, it's scary and dangerous, but there's a weird beauty to those fires. When you see the glow,
glow.
in the sky, there's an odd beauty to that sometimes.
Till you get up close.
Right, till you get up close. It's it's like a hurricane. That looks cool too
from a
till you get inside of it.
Or
right?
on TV.
Yeah.
Well, the fireman one is, it's bad that something like that happens, but it also gives them good training.
Sure.
And the other thing is like you said earlier, it just clears it out to where it doesn't happen uncontrolled or someone not out there to call it in.
You're right.
And let you know that it is going on. But it's good training for the firemen. And unfortunately, we live in an area where that mustard weed and all these other tumbleweeds, but that underbrush is just so thick in some of those areas, it's got to be burned out.
And I imagine too, just being spring where all that stuff's blooming, blossoming, and everything else, it's all tinder.
It's just fuel.
Yeah.
So they did a great job, and they always do. You know, the good thing we got so many fire departments that work good together, but we also have Bitter Lakes, and we have all these other places that can get everybody in here.
And don't get me, when we talk about some of these wildfires like that, I grew up, we're all roughly the same age here, movies like Backdraft where you see them do the dangerous fires and all that, and to be and obviously these guys are doing, because those are all city buildings and all that stuff, and don't get me wrong, they do that stuff, but there is a different kind of danger when they're out in wildfires here, because the way the fire travels, the way you can literally get trapped and not even realize you get trapped if you're not paying attention. And I'm sure they've lost many a firefighter doing that. I mean, over the years, I'm not talking about last night. Everyone's safe, but there's been a lot of lost firefighters because the fire envelops them or surrounds them, and they can't get out, and they're trapped. And that's, at least in a building fire, it's like right there in front of you, where I think, you could get trapped and you don't even realize you're trapped because you're not near that part. It's very a dangerous business. Those guys that do the wildfire fighting. It's a lot of work.
We're thankful for them.
That and the building fires.
Well, good news is you guys weren't too busy having to evacuate nobody or nothing. No. That's the part we're happy
just
to
keeping
hear.
The looky-loos.
Yeah, we can replace the weeds. They're easy to replace.
Well, the biggest thing on that is,
the burn worked.
Anytime you have something like that, you have a lot of people that want to go out and just see it.
Sure.
So you're preventing the trucks that are refueling water and doing
you're getting away
things,
the logistics of fighting fire.
But it's understandable. Everyone likes like you said, the glow.
Well, let's just face it.
Glow.
There's people that live out midway the country area. They live out there because they want, they like the peace and quiet.
Sure.
Yeah,
but sometimes a little adventure comes in the neighborhood, and so some people get to sit on the porch and watch it happen, and others, but you also people that live out there, they're doers.
Yeah.
They're not sit by and watchers. You know what I mean? They live out in the country because they tend to themselves. They like to do for themselves, and so they see a fire. Then maybe sometimes their first move is not to call the sheriffs or the fire department. Their move is to grab a hose and a shovel, let's get out there and start fighting it.
Or a tractor and just build an area around them that's cleared out.
That's sometimes their first, which because that's called ranch. That's ranch life. That's how it works. So, but thank you to all those folks that were out fighting and continuing to fight that, and we are thankful that no one got hurt. Say everything's good to go. So
yes, everything's going real well.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about what else you guys been doing. What's I know you guys been in the news here, and we can talk about that if you want. But just as far as what you're seeing around town, things like that.
So right now, the Chaves County Sheriff's Office, we're still fighting crime. We got lots of things going on. We had our DWI meeting yesterday, and we're looking at doing some things for the schools for the end of the year.
Cool.
Graduation projects.
Graduation stuff.
And things like that. So we're very much involved in that. State Police, the Roswell PD, everybody's involved in that. Dexter, Hagerman, Lake Arthur are all going to be included in that. So we've got a lot of things coming that we're going to do to make sure these kids are safe.
Sure.
On graduation night, as well as probably that whole week before graduation. You know how things get a little crazy.
Yeah.
The sad thing is here in Chaves County, we seem to always lose a child or someone who's maybe even getting ready to graduate that week, and they've done all this work, and then they're gone.
You know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of seeing the tragic story a year later when you drive by and you see a sign on the road and a light was lost. And they're honoring that person, but I'm tired of seeing those because it's so easy to avoid.
Well,
we shouldn't have to be doing that anymore because it's and I get it. They're kids. They want us to have and we all adults are no different. How many times? Forget drinking and driving. How many times a day I just go up Main Street and everyone knows you're not supposed to be on your phone. And I sit there and someone's slow or weaving and I look by and they're doing this.
We were in Albuquerque
or putting
yesterday.
on their makeup.
Yeah. We were in Albuquerque yesterday, and I will tell you this: they're doing 75, 80 miles an hour on the interstate where cars are zipping in and out, and you look over and they got literally one person had their leg crossed over the other leg, sitting there reading the phone while driving at this speed, and I was like, oh my gosh,
what?
And but
what is so important that you? I don't get it.
But it's crazy. They think that they're only going to look for a second,
right?
And it only takes a second for someone to come from another lane over into
or stop in front of you.
Stop in front of you or whatever.
Humans just have this innate ability to do that's them, it's not me mindset.
Yeah. Or it won't happen to me.
It's like cancer. That's the people getting cancer. It's never going to happen. That happens to you. Same thing with drinking and driving. All that. It's like, I'll be fine. That's not going to happen to me. And then they're in jail or worse. And that's what happens.
That's a fact. And so we are going to be out in force making sure that things are going very well for these kids on graduation night. We're going to be looking for juvenile parties. We're going to be looking for anybody who's providing alcohol to minors. And
are the schools doing the lockdowns where they let them come in, stay the night, and stay there? Good.
So, there's project graduations going on everywhere, and we really appreciate everybody who's donated stuff for these kids to get prizes or do whatever they get, and so it's an incentive to get there. It's just that only a small percentage of the kids go to those.
See, it was a lot because they were doing that. That kind of started when I graduated high school around, what was it, 91 when I graduated.
We would like
kind
to
of a new
see,
thing.
That's when I graduated.
But when you see the number of people who are actually graduating in this county and the people who actually go to these, it's a small number.
Okay.
And the number that goes out and drinks and parties and goes to all these other places, it's a small number. But when somebody dies,
it's got a big impact.
It's a big impact. And so we're going to hit that number, and we're going to be doing things. A lot of people, they got their head on straight and they're doing the right things and they're moving on.
Sure.
And, but we also know, especially now being the chairman of the DWI program, that innocent students get hit by drunk drivers.
Absolutely.
And they've got their head on straight and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and now their life or their family's lives have changed forever. So.
Well, look at the tragedy that happened in Texas there a couple months ago with the team from Hobbs there.
The golf team.
Golf team, yeah.
Can't even imagine.
That's
horrible.
That's so sad, and that story got weirder and weirder as more details came out on that one. I don't even think I ever heard the final.
Yeah.
Like the kid was driving, and it was a whole thing. It was weird. All again, drinking, drugs, driving, all of that. It was involved there. So
so we're going to be out doing that. We've got lots of plans for that. We've also, with the summer and everything coming, we're going to be doing different things. What my plan is I want to be out doing things within the community, going to where the kids are having lunches and getting involved, maybe, taking them some stuff out there, frisbees or footballs or doing some different things. So we've got a lot of plans for this. And,
heavy on the community relations side.
Yeah, and also involved with the kids of this community because they're our next generation, and they're the ones who are going to come and do this job.
Speaking of that, I do want to kind of get an update. I know COVID threw a lot of stuff, but are you guys back with the Explorer program and all
Not
that?
Yet, but I will.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something that I know COVID put a big damper on that.
Yeah,
and I didn't know if you guys were.
Yeah.
Because obviously for folks that know, that's a great program.
It is a great program.
Yeah.
And so my plan on that is to get that up and running probably around July or August if I can get it going.
So if there's some youth listening that wanted to participate or want to come back, start putting your bees in the sheriff's bonnet here and make them hurry up and do it.
I've got a lot of them that want to come back, and it's a good it's a good program.
You got to pull the harassment bit. Like, come on, Sheriff, you gonna do it? You gonna do it, Sheriff?
Yeah.
Finally, go. All right, I'll do it. Then he does it.
And it's funny to see the kids that were in it, and then when they come back, how they've grown.
Yeah.
Because it's been a couple of years.
Well, guess what? In
already.
a couple of years, you're going to see them as deputies.
Yeah,
There's going to be a few of them
that's
that you're
what
going
our goal is.
and they're going to be going to the academy, and they're going to be
That's what our goal
deputies.
is.
Yeah.
Come into law
Absolutely.
enforcement, and right now one of the things that we know is minimum wage is going up. Deputies' pay is not.
Yeah.
So you're about to be making as much as a deputy at minimum wage here in Chaves County if it gets up to what they're talking about. So we've got a lot of things that we're working on in that area.
Gotcha.
We've got to be a place where people can say, okay, not only am I going to be able to come in and do this job because I want to, but it's worth coming and doing this job.
We have to be competitive.
Because,
Absolutely.
Because
Well,
really and truly, this is a job that it takes a lot out of
And the sad part is you're competing against people that needs are just as bad. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
you're competing against Hobbs,
Yeah.
Carlsbad,
Yeah.
Roswell. I mean, you're really competing against your partners.
We have to have competitive pay.
And it stinks, but that's the nature of the beast. You know, teachers are the same way. Carlsbad's like, we're going to up our pay, and then you get teachers like, well, I can go down there and make 10 grand more than I am
competing
here.
against Youth Challenge.
And we have yes, absolutely, but we have a generation that comes up now. It's the me generation.
Yeah.
So it's what can you offer me?
Sure.
And instead of saying what can I do for you,
Sure.
it's what can you offer me? And that's tough whenever you have places like KFC or all these other places that are raising their prices or their starting wages. And
Sure. And that's life. You know, like our parents. You know, you get a job. You know, 50s, 60s, they get these jobs, and they're there 20 years, 30 years till they retire. They go. I mean, but even sports and everything. I mean, you watch sports in the 50s, 60s. Guys like Sammy Ball, he was 30s, but you know what I mean. Guys they played 20, 10 years, whatever it is, but they're all played for the Cowboys or for the Rams.
Yeah.
Or they played with one
Dedication.
team, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's changed over time where, free agency and so that's
Now they're
kind of
chasing
life
the dollar.
where it
really
the
is.
loyalty went from someone that brought you in to your own. And I'm not saying that's always bad or good, but there's got to be a balance there because there's something to say with you. I'm sure you got deputies that have since day one out of the academy, 18 years old, went to academy, boom, boom, boom. They were at the Chaves Academy, and then they're there 20, 30 years, and they end up retiring from the sheriff's department. And sure, they could probably have made over more money. But at the end of the day, by sticking to their thing and staying with that program, they're probably in a much better position, better qualified, better trained, probably more money. And because of the loyalty factor, the factor said, we have a person that's committed to us, and they're going to treat people better. And that's the
exactly
sheriff's
right.
department. That's any particular company or entity on the planet. People that stay and work and are loyal.
That's the loyalty.
After time, they're going to see may not be tomorrow, may not be next year, but in the big scheme of things, they're going to be treated just fine and do very well for themselves.
That's exactly right. And I think there's a lot of satisfaction whenever you do stay with a place because you see it grow.
Sure.
You
You also put your own pride and your own because that's your reputation.
You've vested into it.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. It's like I retired from the sheriff's office at 21 years and 10 months to run for sheriff, and I'll tell you that I would have stayed there forever if I hadn't chose to run for sheriff because to me I was training the up-and-coming deputies, and I was doing things, and I felt like I was really contributing,
making a difference.
And and the money was never good. It's
Never is.
It's never good. But it wasn't about the money to me. As long as I could survive and live, I was happy because this is something that we want to do.
And when you're doing something you're passionate about, not my personal experience,
The love for the job.
9 times out of 10, the money will take care of itself.
Oh, yeah, it does.
The opportunities show up.
100%.
If you're doing your passion and putting your heart and soul into everything, people notice, things happen, opportunities happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you don't have to live high on the hog. You just have to get out there and make a difference.
That's right.
That's what we do every day. So
As long as they keep jacking up the price of bacon on me, I'll be all right.
We just won't eat bacon.
now you
Shut
got
your mouth.
I was going to say, shut that up. might maybe have to cut that one piece in half.
The pieces will get smaller.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sizzling leaner.
That's right.
I mean, I'm still sizzling.
So that's a good thing. And then,
Good deal.
As you know, there's been talk of a lawsuit being placed.
Yeah,
against
I didn't know
me
if there's
and,
any I know obviously there's a lot you can't say.
Yeah,
It's no lawsuit. But
that's
yeah,
a
the
lawsuit.
ACLU, was it yesterday or the day before all this kind of came out?
And so we haven't been served anything as of yet.
Okay.
I have no idea other than what's being put on to Facebook or to
Social media.
Sure.
And there is such a angry group in the political world right now.
Oh, you tell me. I've been reading. I know all
about it. And one of the things that I tell everybody is I appreciate anybody who wishes to run for office.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with you as a person. I have all the respect in the world for you.
Yeah.
You're just not the person that I choose to support.
Sure.
And it's not because of anything you may have done or haven't done. It's because in my experience and in my belief, I choose who I want to choose.
Sure.
And that's how it is. Well, it's caused some people to become very angry and upset.
Absolutely.
Some people who are using their position in government
Negative manner.
Sure.
to do things and say things that I really believe have ruined their career. Mm-hmm. They're done.
There's a lot of people saying it. I feel like emotion has taken over logic and reason sometimes because the stuff I've seen is and I'm not saying there's not being good points made and on arguments because there's some of that in there. There's some things like that's a valid question. We should ask that.
Sure.
But then you see a lot of the hate speech, the talk of basically the same conversations. The conversations we talked about like when we were in middle school when you're talking with your friends and you sound like idiot. That's what a lot of, except for these are 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old people doing.
And supposed to be professional individuals.
Yeah.
But this is one of the things I don't condone any of the talk on there that is bashing another person.
Sure.
It's just something that we don't do. I don't do that on my Facebook page. We don't do it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do make very clear is
Bush League.
Yeah, that's right. One thing that I make very clear on my page: if you're a criminal, Chaves County Sheriff's Office is coming for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you are a person within this community, an active member of this community, and you want to help make Chaves County better, we're here to help you do that.
Sure.
And we are also out there every day within this community letting people know that, hey, we live here just like you do, and we want what is best for Chaves County.
Absolutely.
So I don't ever respond to any of that mess. So the news of a lawsuit, it does not worry me in any way.
Sure.
Because I believe we are operating 100% within the law, within the policies, within everything that we have to do as law enforcement.
And at the end of the day, just like everybody else, you get your day in court.
That's
and
right.
You get to present that evidence, and you're confident that at the end of the day, that evidence will show that everything that happened was justified and above board.
Court is part of my business.
Yeah.
We go to court all the time to testify against people, to prosecute individuals, or as witnesses on other things. Court does not scare me. I have no doubt.
You can say that guns to your faces. I'm sure
right.
courtroom's probably not that big deal.
People try and hurt us.
Court is an everyday thing for us. So when it comes time for something like that, you just get up there, state the facts. I've got a lot of news media trying to contact me in reference to this. What they don't understand is that once there is a comment made that there is a lawsuit filed, I cannot respond or comment on anything.
Right. Everything you say and do is going to be scrutinized and maybe used against you down the road.
We're forbidden from commenting.
So we have
to
refer them to the county attorney, and we just go from there.
Because at that point, you're contaminating the case by anything you say or do at that point.
Or, one of the things, like I said, is I don't know what the county attorney is working on or doing. I don't know none of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much out of it. I have a job to do. I do that job every day.
Sure.
And I let the county attorney handle all of that.
His job.
That's what his job.
And here's the other thing, too. When you talk about endorsements and all that other stuff, it's like, at the end of the day, you can listen to his endorsement or not. That's your choice.
Right.
So whether he made it or not, who cares? It's
right.
Either you support it or you don't, and that's how it works. And I will also say this, and I'm going to let that go. But and if I put words, tell me. But
no, you're good.
I got a feeling is your endorsement comes from a different place than other endorsements would be.
It does.
This is a man that you've probably chewed dirt with.
Yeah.
I would even argue maybe you've saved each other's life at one point or another.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And so when you're endorsing, that kind of endorsement comes from a different place than a political guy saying, this guy's pretty good, I like him. You know what I mean?
And
you guys chew dirt together.
Yeah.
You guys serve together.
Right.
And it's just like a military environment. When you serve together and you're sitting in the foxhole together,
Right.
You come to Jesus. You get a lot of bonding and understanding of people.
There's one thing that I also will tell you. I know him. I know he can do the job. I think he's a great person for the job.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that, with the other individual, the concern that I have is that right now you run as District 1, District 2. Once you're in office, you cover all of Chaves County. You already have KC Rogers, and which is Dad in District 1, and you're going to have Nicole Rogers if that was to come to pass. And if one recuses himself, it goes to the other.
A little too nepotistic.
It's too close because it's not just your district you're hearing cases in. It's all over the county.
Gotcha.
And so what I want to make sure is that it's fair.
Gotcha.
And it's just like me coming in and saying, okay, I want to bring in my daughter as my undersheriff, or it just isn't good practice.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's what KC's plan is. His daughter has her own mind.
Sure.
And I have no doubt in my mind that she is a good person. I like her entire family.
Sure.
I've known her entire family.
Qualifications are good.
Forever.
It's just it's too close to the family connection there.
That is my only concern with the whole thing. But on the other side of that, I also know James, and I know that he will make a good judge.
Sure.
So,
obviously, he's a part of the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have him on there if you didn't think highly of him.
That's right. That's exactly right. And
they don't tend to hire people you don't like or think or don't trust.
And there's so much talk about what happened back in 2011 with him. I'm going to tell you, there's nothing like that happened since.
Gotcha.
And I have no doubt in my mind that a lot of that was.
Did you chalk up the young and dumb, or just didn't know better, or what do you think?
I just bring that back up to you did something stupid.
Sure.
Now he was disciplined for it, and it's over, and he learned from it.
Sure.
But not only that, he's done a great job since he's been with the Chaves County Sheriff's Office, and this is his 20th year.
And I would also argue, like you said, second chance. When we live in humanity's a second chance. We make mistakes, and you learn from them too, and that's part of it. And I don't want to get into detail. And for what I've read on what the story was, why the incident happened. At the end of the day, it's a little hiding things, but it's not like it was stealing a bunch of money, or you know what I mean. It was, from what I understand, it was just a failure to report thing. Maybe was trying and said, you know what, I did something I wasn't supposed to. Something happened when it happened, and now I don't want to get caught for that. And then I got caught for that, and
he was disciplined for that.
And he did the punishment, but at the same time, it wasn't like he was trying to embezzle money or physically harm or hurt somebody. He was just saying, "Oops, I made a mistake. I hope I don't get caught." And it wasn't really damage to a person. I mean, it was a little bit of money on property, but again, we can fix that. We can replace that. We can pay for that.
But,
that's what
the fact of the matter is, there is no giglio. There is nothing. There is nothing.
Gotcha.
On that. So it has not stopped him from serving this community.
Gotcha.
He has continued to do so in a very professional manner. So
I'm just. I guess my point was that even if he did do it, I don't think that, because we have so many people in this world that are recovering drug addicts that like went in dark places. And we come back and we celebrate them. And I look at this as one of those things. Okay, you made a mistake, but guess what? You learn from it, and now you're doing good things. And we all have that. I mean, if you judge me on things I did when I was a kid, and I ran from you, I probably would get in trouble too. You know what I mean? It's like, you did what? Yeah, I was a dumb kid.
Well, we're all dumb.
Well, one of the things though, and this is how I do it, and this is what I'm really telling James to do. Don't bash nobody. Don't put nothing out there. We don't care about what they've done. Mm-hmm. They need to sell themselves. You need to sell yourself. I need to sell myself.
Sure.
And the way that you do that is you go out and prove yourself.
That's right.
And you don't have to say, I'm going to be better than that person. You just say, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And the voters are going to decide who is the best person.
Absolutely.
And when you get in there, you walk the walk of everything that you talked.
Sure.
Right? And so that's what I've done since I've been in. That's what I've told him. That's what I'm telling Nicole. I'm telling this to everybody. Knock off all the bashing of each other. It has to come to an end. Let's get Roswell back to being a professional place, because I'm telling you right now, you're making the entire community look foolish.
Well, not to mention you're creating a divide.
Yeah, and I'm talking about everybody.
Yeah.
I'm talking about everybody.
But you're creating a divide and unfortunately the divide's creating by a bunch of people that only have this much information not the whole picture.
Yeah.
And they're forming sides, and they're choosing their battles based on this much information. And that's sad. And that's
and one of the things it's really funny, and let me just say this real quick. People say, oh, the sheriff has done this, has endorsed him, has done this. What people don't understand is under the Hatch Act, the sheriff is the only elected official that can talk about their campaign or the campaign of another and do an endorsement. Mm-hmm. And that's under OSC HA 105131.
All right.
That is
someone write that down to put it on the Facebook for people.
We know that one. we know that one.
So what we know is that is the one that says the sheriff is always the sheriff.
Always 24 hours
24 hours a day. And
Gotcha.
he is the only one who can get up and talk about his race or someone else's race while working, while being the sheriff.
While in the position.
That's why everybody who runs for a position comes through my office.
Because you're allowed to.
Yeah, because so they come in, they want
your stamp of approval. Yeah. Interesting.
And so with that, I just want people to know, I'm not doing anything that's going to break a law. I'm not going to jeopardize the reputation of the Chaves County Sheriff's Office or myself in any way. And I'm going to do everything lawful and by the book. And I just sit back and say, I challenge you to prove different.
I'll come correct, and if you got an issue, let's talk.
Yeah, but that
makes sense.
But stay, and that's the other thing about Facebook. I get on Facebook, I put everything out there.
Yeah,
I'm very transparent, but I don't bash anybody. I don't go after anybody, and I believe if you hold an elected position, you shouldn't do that either.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So
we're
out of time. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. I think
you will.
We'll get here in a couple of weeks, and stay safe out there. And thank all the deputies and everybody that for what they do at keeping us safe in each and every day. So
all first responders.
Yep. All appreciate it. Every single one of them.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. We'll see you here in a couple of weeks.
You
all
sure
right.
will.
Thank you.
All right. Now go back to breakfast.
Yeah. I got it out in the car.
He's done with breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, lunchtime.
Yeah.